Cái gì sắp cái gì? Online cái này.
Good morning to all. Yes, sir. It gives me immense pleasure to extend you all a very warm welcome to the National Seminar on New Education Policy, organized by Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Babu Jivjivan Government Degree College, Narayanpura, Hyderabad. I am very glad to invite our respected Principal Madam, Dr. P.V. Geeta Lakshmi Patnaik Madam, onto the dais as a man's stewardship. Excellent. Woodrow Wilson, the father of public administration, said that you are not here merely to make a living. You are here in order to enable the world to live more amply, with greater vision, with a higher spirit of hope and achievement. You are here. Here is such a great visionary who is instilling hope and enriching the lives of thousands of students in Telangana state and beyond. A man of high caliber, and very simple and accessible, ever ready to extend an advice. He is none other than our esteemed chief guest, Professor R. Limbadri sir, Chairman, Telangana State Council of Higher Education. Sir, Please occupy your distinguished chair on the dais. Margaret Mead once said that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. We are fortunate enough today to have such an illustrious, thoughtful, committed, and dynamic personality amidst us, and she is none other than our guest of honor, Professor E. Revati Madam, Director of Center for Economic and Social Studies. An intellect of high caliber, paragon in research, Madam has changed the world through her thought-provoking research. Ma'am, please occupy the chair, your distinguished chair. I extend my warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Dr. Sheikh Kamruddin Sir, Department of Management and Commerce, Maulana Azad National. Sir is an embodiment of simple living, high thinking, lifestyle trainer, speaker.
वीडियो ऑन में है हमारा, देखें वीडियो का.
Now I cordially invite our respected Vice Principal Madam and Director of the seminar, Srimati S. Radhika Madam, known for her untiring efforts in encouraging team spirit and dedication. And please occupy your chair on the dais. Now I am pleased to invite our Organizing Secretary, Srimati T. Geeta Shri Madam, Assistant Professor of Political Science, onto the dais.
Now I request Dr.D. Malika Madam to occupy the dais. Today, Kalina of the speaker. Thank you. So now I am not going to continue the proceedings.
Now I request our Principal Madam to present a bouquet to Professor R. Limbati Sir, Chairman, Telangana State Council of Higher Education. Now I request Sri P. Satyanarayan Reddy Sir, our Academic Coordinator, Sir, to present a bouquet to our Principal Madam. Now I request Dr. H. Srinivasrao Sir to present a bouquet to the Director of CIS, our guest of honor, Professor E. Revati Madam. Please to invite Dr.D.M. Swamy Sir, Assistant Professor of Economics, to present a bouquet to Dr. Sheikh Kamruddin Sir, our keynote speaker.
No. Okay.
I cordially request Dr. P. Samakasiva Sir, Assistant Professor of Computer Science, to present a bouquet to Srimati S. Radhika Madam, Vice Principal and Director of the seminar. Now I request Srimati M. Ramaleshri Madam, Assistant Professor of Telugu, to present a bouquet to Srimati Geeta Shri Madam.
Dr. Shanti Madam to present a bouquet to our convener of the seminar, Dr. Malika Madam.
Taking the program further, I request request all the dignitaries on the dais to light the lamp. The light dispels the darkness with their illumined thoughts. Of Telangana State Council of Higher Education, Professor R. Limbadri sir, our guest of honor, Professor Revati Madam, Director of Center for Economics and Social Studies, Dr. Sheikh Kamaruddin sir, with their illumined thoughts and by enriching the end minds, they are throwing away the darkness. Chief guest, Professor R. Limbadri sir, Chairman, Telangana State Council of Higher Education, Professor Revati Madam, our esteemed guest of honor, Dr. Sheikh Kamaruddin sir, is lighting the lamp.
శాంతిశ్వరి గారు మీకు రికార్డ్స్ ఇచ్చారా మేడం? ఎక్కడ మీ రికార్డ్? డిపార్ట్మెంటల్ రికార్డ్స్ అంటే ఇప్పుడు తీసుకోండి మేడం, తీసుకుంటే ఆమెకి మనం సర్వీస్ చేస్తూ ఇవ్వాలి. రేపు వస్తానండి, మీరు ప్లీజ్ ఆస్కింగ్ సబ్మిట్ చేయండి చెప్పండి. అదే
Our beloved principal, Dr. D.M, Madam, to present the welcome address.
Session of the two-day national seminar. Professor R. Limbadri, the Chairman, Telangana. With the honor, Professor E. Revati, Director, Center for Dr. Sheikh Kamaruddin, Management Studies, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Hyderabad. Srimati, Director of this seminar and the Vice Principal of the College, Swamy Radhika, Convener and Accuracy Coordinator, Dr. V. Malika, Organizing Secretary, Srimati T. Industry, respected colleagues, auditors, online and beloved students. I wish you all a very good morning and a hearty welcome to the two-day national seminar sponsored by the TSCHG. As a principal of the Government Degree College, Narayanguda, it is my privilege to introduce the college to this august gathering. Established in 1974 by the Babu Jagjeevan Educational Society, the college was taken over by the government of the erstwhile 1989. Inspired by the ideals of Swamy, the college has gone from strength to strength until today. It is one of the leading colleges in the entire state of Telangana. It is a great pleasure to announce that this year, that is in 2021-22, there are 2,511 students on the roll, 678 women and 1,633 men. The college is committed to not only providing quality education to all the students who enter its portals and fulfilling employment. As the principal, I am from teaching staff who are with me at every step of this journey in fulfilling the motto of this college, which is Yanam Sarva Hidaya, translated as knowledge to the It is in this context that the present taken by the institution to be a part of the ongoing discussion on the national assembly or the new education. The Ministry of Human Resource Development is fundamental for achieving full human potential, developing an equitable and just society, and promoting national development. NEP 2020, which is the first education policy of the 21st century, proposes to create a new system that builds upon India's value systems while aligning with the aspirational goals of the 21st century education. The policy envisions a comprehensive learning environment, multidisciplinary in order to shape the future citizens of the nation with sound ethical morals and values. Therefore, in a world that is undergoing rapid changes in every education and employment in particular, it is imperative that every higher education institution remain relevant and adaptable while adhering to the principles laid down in NEP 2020. I am confident that this seminar will deliberate on the issues involved and come up with I would like to express my profound gratitude to Professor R. Dibatigar for sponsoring this national seminar and for being the source of but for you, sir, it would not have been possible for us to come. That this association will continue for a very, very long time. I'm also very grateful academician bar excellence and a great expert on NEP 2020 for having consented to address this. We were just discussing in the principal's chamber. And she heads the cell on education. And we look forward to hearing a lot from you, ma'am. I'm sure all the participants here are my thanks. I also thank Dr. Sheikh Kambuddin Garu for being with us today in this program as a and last but not the least, for organizing this seminar.
ఉన్నప్పుడు మీరు ఆమె ఉంటది, ఆమె లేనప్పుడు ఒకరు ఉండాలి అని ఒకసారి చెప్తాను అంతే. రోజు రోజు పిలిచి చెప్పండి నేను ఇంకా చెప్ప అట్లా నేను ఒకటి రెండు సార్లు మాత్రమే నేను చెప్తాను. రెండు మూడు సార్లు చెప్తాను.
As we all know, education plays an important role in manifesting the inner human potential, which in the science and technology, the higher education system is passing through a transformational phase of global trends. Along with the strong skills required by Education 4.0 will be complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, teamwork, skills, and the like. And our coming education system will be more collaborative, cross-institutional, cross-cultural, multi-directional, and it's all of man and machine to explore new pedagogies. So in this context, internet qualification of organizing a national seminar on this to assess and to revisit the to divide the student-centered pedagogies and to adopt disciplinary research in higher to approach Telangana State Council of Higher Education. Sir has immediately granted the fund, and I have approached Professor E. Revati Ma'am, and a very great expert on this new education policy, because Telangana State Council of Higher Education has established a research cell and Center for Economics and Social Studies. Under ma'am's able guidance, so many studies. Thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation. For the objectives of the seminar are to revisit the pedagogies, to revise the new education policy, the issues involved, and is involved in that. So I think based on these 2 days and come out with fruitful suggestions. Thank you. With this, I request the chief guest and other guests on the dais to release the souvenir of the national seminar. I request all the IQAC members to join us on the stage. I request Dr. Satyanarayana Reddy sir, Academic Coordinator of Biljar Government Degree College. Dr. N. Ravi Babu sir. Swamy sir.
பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா கேட்கணும் 40 தான் கொடுக்கணும்.
ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ் நடக்குது பிள்ளைகளுக்கு, அவங்களுக்கு இதெல்லாம் தேவைப்படும்ல, இப்போ அடி இது பட்டாதுன்னா அதனால ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எய்ட் பாக்ஸ் வாங்கிட்டு வர சொன்னாங்க. நம்மள்ட்ட ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எய்ட் பாக்ஸ்
40 20 60
சரி, அதுக்கு தேவையான இதெல்லாம் வாங்கி வச்சிட்டோம்னா வீட்டு வர டாக்டர் ஒன்று ஒரு ரூபாய்.
ஆமா, இது 4 ரூபாய்க்குள்ள 4 பீஸ் இருக்கும், 12 ரூபா.
அந்த
1 ரூபாய்க்கு இருக்கு,
1 ரூபாய்க்கு இருக்கு.
10 பீஸ் எமர்ஜென்சிக்கு இந்த மாதிரி
இல்லை, அந்த இது நாப்கின் சானிடரி இது வச்சுருக்காங்க மிஷினு, அதனால நம்ம அது தேவையில்லை.
அது எரிக்கிறதுக்கு வச்சுருக்காங்க,
அது உள்ள அடிக்கிடுவாங்க. 5 ரூபா காயின் போட்டதையும் அது வர மாதிரி. அது வந்து இது கவர்மெண்ட் இதுலேருந்து லான்ச் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. பில்டிங் ஒன்று வச்சு உமன்ஸ் காலேஜ் இல்லை அது, அதனால அது வச்சுருக்காங்க.
1 ரூபா தாங்க,
1 ரூபா. அங்கே ஏதோ 5 ரூபா காயின் போட்டால் வரும். 5 ரூபாயா 2 ரூபாயா நம்ம இங்கே அது நம்ம போய்
காஸ்ட்லி.
ஆமா, அது கவர்மெண்ட்ல இருந்து இது பண்ணிட்டு போயிருக்காங்க. இங்க 1 ரூபாய்க்கு இருக்கா.
Thank you, sir. Now, I invite Dr. Dr.D.M.
முதல் பாக்ஸ் அனுப்பிடுங்க, இன்னொரு பாக்ஸ் வேணும். அம்சன் வேணும், ஒரு பாக்ஸ் முதல் பக்கத்துல ஒரு பாக்ஸ்
Honorable Chief Guest Professor Dr.D.M.
Professor of Public Administration, Chairman Guest of Honor, Professor D.M, Director.
Class where? Yeah. First year.
Studies Urdu University.
Urdu medium first year.
Dr.D.M. All the advisory committee members, representatives, participants, all the faculty and my one and all. It is my privilege and pleasure to introduce today's chief guest, Professor system new education. Thanks to you, sir. ఆత్మీయమైన పలకరింపుగల హృదయపూర్వకంగా నవ్వే స్నేహితుడు మన లింబాద్రి గారు. Almost all of us of physics thank you very much.
Companies campus
28 years of glorious experience, also known as administrative services to the society. Self academic life related to Swamy campus, PhD OU 93, MPhil OU 90, MA Public Ed 88. To mention certain academic and administrative positions, chairman, vice chairman, on special duty, vice chancellor, University, registrar, Telangana University, Islamabad, faculty, Department of Public Ed, Chairman, Board of Studies, Department of Public Ed, Coordinator, Center for Distance Education, and several awards to mention some of them. Annual Case Study Award 2012, Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Delhi. Assignments, China, SCA, the aforementioned information coaches persons long experience as the Education Department, Government of Telangana, a noble personality as our chief guest. So, one and all present here.
Last year, 5 lakhs. Month 50,000 కడుతున్నాం. ఒకే మంత్ ఏప్రిల్ ఇంకా
அங்க வேலை பார்த்து நான் வரலட்சுமி நான் வந்து அங்க பார்ப்பேன் போன தடவை வந்தப்போ கூட அங்க இங்கேயா மிராண்டா இது வாங்கணுமாயா அது 2 வாங்கிட்டு கப்பு சாதம் ஆமாயா மத்திய அரசாங்கது
2 days seminar on the important topic that's new education policy.
அந்த இது
एक बार रवि साहब को बुलाओ
இப்போ வந்து எல்லா கடையில வந்து பண்றாங்கட்டு ஒரு கடையில வாங்கணும்னா வேலை முடியுதுல்ல
your interest for providing education to we have 2 distinguished scholars, Professor Irevati. Really, she has worked a lot on national policy. She has a commitment. Higher education in Telangana. She has conducted a national level workshops, seminars in this regard to the nation is concerned, and we know about this Kamruddin. Regularly visit this college in this meeting. So this national education policy sees students, affordability for the students, quality for the students, equity of the students. National education policy.
ఒక చిన్న ధర్మ సందేహాలు వాడు
A policy, how we are preparing the
పీజీకి సంబంధించి అమౌంట్ కలెక్షన్ అయింది.
the students are. But the Telangana state government have taken number to provide access to the students are concerned. Further, you are all witness of enrollment of regularly increasing the enrollment in this college. In the overall enrollment in undergraduate level is 2.5 lakhs, and out of 2.5 lakhs girls. This is the access to the students are concerned, and not only to ఆన్లైన్
रिकॉर्ड पढ़ रहा है ఒక బలమైనటువంటి అంశం ఏంటంటే చదువుకోవాలని ఆకాంక్ష. ఇంట్లో పేరెంట్స్ చదువుకున్నారో లేదో, ఇంట్లో పేరెంట్స్ వాళ్ళకి సపోర్ట్ చేసేటువంటి జ్ఞానం కానీ ఫైనాన్స్ కానీ ఉందో లేదో తెలియదు. కానీ మీ మీద నమ్మకంతో కాలేజీలోకి వస్తున్నారు, మా మీద నమ్మకంతో, ప్రభుత్వం మీద నమ్మకంతో వాళ్ళు హాస్టల్స్ లో పెట్టుకున్నారు, గవర్నమెంట్ కాలేజీలో అడ్మిషన్. వాళ్ళ అభివృద్ధి ఏంటి, వాళ్ళ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఏంటి, వాళ్ళ క్లాస్ రెగ్యులర్ వస్తున్నారా లేదా, అటెండెన్స్ లేనట్లయితే వాళ్ళని కనీసం ఒక ఫోన్ చేసి లేదా వాళ్ళ ఫ్రెండ్స్ ఆ 10 మెంబర్స్ 20 మెంబర్స్ అటువంటిది చేయగలిగితే ఒక ముఖ్యమైనటువంటి పని అయితే స్టూడెంట్ ఎంగేజ్మెంట్ అనేటువంటిది. అదే క్రమంలో గైడెన్స్ వాళ్ళకి ఏం చేయగలుగుతారు, ఏ రకమైన సపోర్ట్ వాళ్ళు ఎక్స్పెక్ట్ చేస్తున్నారు, వాళ్ళకి ఫైనాన్షియల్ సపోర్ట్ కావాలా, హైయర్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ పోతారా, హైయర్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ పోవాలనుకుంటే రేపు ఇప్పుడున్నటువంటి 5 year స్టూడెంట్స్ అందరికి కూడా ప్రెస్టీజియస్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్ ఏమున్నాయి, ఆ యూనివర్సిటీలో అడ్మిషన్ కావాలంటే మన పిల్లలు ఏ రకమైనటువంటి ఎగ్జామినేషన్ సిలబస్ ప్రిపేర్ కావాల్సి ఉంటుంది. అట్లాగే మన పిల్లలందరికీ కూడా మనం నేర్పాల్సింది అనునిత్యం గవర్నమెంట్ లో చాలా మార్పులు వస్తాయి. ఈ సంవత్సరం గవర్నమెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా ఆల్ సెంట్రల్ యూనివర్సిటీస్ కి కామన్ ఎంట్రన్స్ పెట్టాలనుకుంటున్నాం. సో ఒక ఎగ్జామ్ రాస్తే దేశంలో ఉన్నటువంటి అన్ని సెంట్రల్ యూనివర్సిటీలో అడ్మిషన్ పొందవచ్చు అని అంటున్నాం. కాబట్టి మన పిల్లలందరినీ కూడా ఎన్ని యూనివర్సిటీస్ ఉన్నాయి, ఏ కోర్సులు ఉన్నాయి, అందులో మన పిల్లలు వేటికి ఎలిజిబిలిటీ ఉన్నారు అనేటువంటి విషయం మీద మీరు ఏమైనా చేయగలిగితే అది బాగుంటుంది. అట్లాగే గవర్నమెంట్ కూడా మీ అందరికీ తెలుసు TSPSC ద్వారా పెద్ద ఉద్యోగ అవకాశాలను ప్రకటించింది. గౌరవ ముఖ్యమంత్రి గారు శాసనసభ సాక్షిగా దాదాపు 90,000 పైగా ఉద్యోగ అవకాశాలు ఉన్నాయని, ఈ రోజే ఆల్రెడీ గ్రూప్ 1 ఉద్యోగానికి సంబంధించినటువంటి 503 ఉద్యోగాలకు సంబంధించి తెలంగాణ ఏర్పడ్డ తర్వాత మొట్టమొదటి గ్రూప్ 1 నోటిఫికేషన్. ఈ కాంటెస్ట్ లో మన దగ్గర ఎలిజిబుల్ ఉన్న పిల్లలు ఏదైనా ఉద్యోగానికి ఎలిజిబుల్ ఉంటే వాళ్ళు అప్లై చేయాలని చెప్పాలి. అంతేకాకుండా మన పిల్లలందరికీ కూడా మనలాగా ఇక్కడ పనిచేస్తున్నటువంటి డిగ్రీ కళాశాల అసిస్టెంట్ ప్రొఫెసర్లు, అసోసియేట్ ప్రొఫెసర్లు, మన పిల్లలకి ఏదైతే కేవలం ప్రభుత్వ ఉద్యోగాలే కాదు, అంతకంటే గొప్ప అవకాశాలు ప్రైవేట్ సెక్టర్ లో ఉన్నాయి, పబ్లిక్ సెక్టర్ లో ఉన్నాయి, పబ్లిక్ ఎంటర్ప్రైజెస్ లో ఉన్నాయి. ఆ వైపు కూడా మీరు అప్లై చేసుకోవాలి అని చెప్పగలిగాను. హైదరాబాద్ లో దాదాపు 1500కు పైగా ఐటీ కంపెనీలు ఏర్పాటు చేయడం జరిగింది. లవబుల్ ప్లేస్ ఏదైనా ఉంటే అది హైదరాబాద్ మహానగరం. అలాంటి నగరంలో ఉన్నటువంటి ఎంప్లాయ్మెంట్ ఆపర్చునిటీస్, అది ఇన్ఫ్రాస్ట్రక్చర్ రంగంలో కానివ్వండి, ఐటీ రంగంలో కానివ్వండి, హోటల్ అండ్ టూరిజం లో కానివ్వండి, ఉన్నటువంటి ఆపర్చునిటీస్ కూడా మన పిల్లలు చెప్పగలిగితే పిల్లలందరూ అట్లే కూడా క్యారియర్ బిల్డ్ చేస్తున్నటువంటి అవకాశం ఉంటుంది. కాబట్టి పిల్లలకు ఎంగేజ్మెంట్ అనేటువంటిది ఒక ముఖ్యమైనటువంటి అంశంగా పరిగణలోకి తీసుకొని మీరు ఇప్పటికే చాలా నిబద్ధతతో పిల్లల్ని ఎన్రోల్మెంట్ చేయగలుగుతున్నారు, ఎంకరేజ్ చేయగలుగుతున్నారు. మీ అందరూ కూడా చాలా ఉత్సాహంగా ప్రతిసారి నచ్చిన సందర్భంలో మేము గమనిస్తుంటే మీ అందరిలో ఒక చిరునవ్వు, ఒక హ్యాపీనెస్ కనిపిస్తుంటది. కాబట్టి అది ఎప్పటికీ ఉండాలని, అది పిల్లలకు కూడా స్ప్రెడ్ కావాలని, పిల్లలు మీకున్న కుటుంబంలో ఇద్దరు పిల్లలు అయితే ఇంకో 10 మందిని చేర్చుకొని ఎకడమిక్ పిల్లలుగా మీరు అడాప్ట్ చేసుకొని వాళ్ళని గైడ్ చేయగలిగితే భవిష్యత్తులో మనం అనుకున్నటువంటి ఒక గొప్ప తెలంగాణలో అందరికీ ఆరోగ్యకరమైనటువంటి, ఆర్థిక పరమైనటువంటి ఎదుగుదలను సాధిస్తున్నటువంటి తెలంగాణ నిలబడడానికి అవకాశం ఉంటుందని ఆశిస్తూ ఇంతటి చక్కటి అవకాశాన్ని కల్పించినటువంటి తెలియజేస్తే
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us on how Telangana government is and congratulate Telangana State Council of Higher Education and CC and all the universities are striving to provide access, quality, and affordability to the students of Telangana. And definitely, we will. I promise that definitely we will take your advice and take up more innovative programs and best practices and impart critical thinking and creative thinking among the students, sir. And definitely we are also tracking the student progression. Sir, for the last, from 2018-19, almost 15 to 20 students of Babu Jagjeevan Government Degree College have got seats in various central universities of in our country. And our commerce graduates have gone abroad. 5 students have gone abroad, sir, for pursuing MBA. And also we are some students have got the government jobs as Panchayat Secretary, and we are also imparting competitive exams training to the students. We will take up more programs, sir. I promise you from this stage. Thank you, sir. So it's time to felicitate our chief guest, Professor R. Limbadri, sir, as sir has some other urgent emergency meetings in the secretariat. Sir, very grateful to you. In spite of your busy schedule, you have accepted our college invitation and made it to come to our college and enlighten us on different aspects of higher education in Telangana. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, sir. Now, I request our principal ma'am and other guests on the dais to felicitate our chief guest, Professor R. Limbati, sir, Chairperson, Telangana State Council of Higher Education. I request our IPSC members to join us on this stage to felicitate our chief guest. I request Dr. Satyanarayana Reddy, sir, Dr. N. Ravi Babu, sir, Dr. Samba Siva, sir, Dr. Swamy, sir, Shanti ma'am. So, sir, as sir has to leave, we have on the dais also. So I request our esteemed chief guest, our esteemed principal madam, esteemed vice principal madam, and Dr. Kamruddin sir to felicitate our distinguished guest of honor, Professor E. Actually, CES itself is a very great organization, and Madam has got more fragrance to it by her able leadership. She's a very great academician, accomplished academician, great researcher, and above all, a great human being with more compassion and empathy. Thank you, ma'am. Now I request our esteemed chief guest, sir, our guest of honor, ma'am, our principal ma'am, vice principal ma'am, to felicitate Dr. Sheikh Kamruddin sir, our keynote speaker from Department of Management and Commerce, Maulana Azad National Urdu University. Sir is a meditation trainer, a life skills coach, and a motivational speaker. I request our esteemed chief guest, sir, to felicitate our principal madam, Dr. P.D. Geeta Lakshmi Patnaik madam. Madam, actually under her stewardship, college is moving forward, and we are implementing so many programs under ma'am's guidance, sir. I request our guest of honor, Revati madam, to join us. Kamruddin sir to join us. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Now, I request Dr. Radhika madam, director of the seminar and vice principal of our college, to introduce our guest of honor, Professor E. Revati madam.
For higher education, Professor R. Limbati garu, respected principal of the college, Dr. P.D. Geeta Lakshmi Patnaik madam, esteemed dignitaries on the dais, Professor E. Revati madam, Director of Center for Economics and Social Studies, CES Hyderabad, and Dr. Sheikh Kamaluddin Sir, Department of Management and Commerce, Manu, Dr. B.V. Malika, IQAC Coordinator and Convener of the National Seminar, Srimati P. Geeta Shri, Organizing Secretary, and all the distinguished and my dear students, a very warm greetings for the national webinar on new educational policy organized by Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Bija Government Degree College. It is my proud privilege to introduce Dr. D.M Madam, who is directly Professor and Director of the Center for Economics and Social Studies, CES Hyderabad. She is development economist. Her brilliant academic achievements, Madam attained her degree from Karthia University, Warangal, where she worked as faculty in the Department of Economics till 2004. She was an ICSSR doctoral fellow in Women's Studies and worked on women, work and technology in agriculture for her PhD. Her broad areas of research are agricultural economics with attention to commodity studies, development economics, and gender studies with attention to land, labor, tenancy, work participation, and empowerment. She was also SSR during 2010 to 12, for which she worked on women and land. Professor Revati Madam's research works are published in the books Economics and Technology of Soybean Crop in Central India 2020, RR Land and Land Access to Women in Andhra Pradesh appears volume of land reforms in India. Our major accomplishments include editing of books, Telangana Economy, which is prescribed for competitive examinations by Telugu Academy Hyderabad in the year 2016, and Telangana State Formation Issues and Challenges, Prajadika Publishers for the year 2010. Madam has edited the journal, Indian Economic Journal, December 2016. Professor Madam has several journal papers and book chapters and on gender, about 12 publications, issues on agrarian distress and structure, agriculture, NGNREGS, rural development, about 12 International Labour Organization sponsored studies on fundamental principles and rights at work in cotton growing communities in the state of Telangana. She teaches development theory and guides students for MPhil and PhDs. Professor Revati Madam is presently teaching and research supervisor of PhD program on development theory and contemporary debates in economics, and under her able guidance, 2 MPhil degrees and 3 PhD degrees are awarded, and with many ongoing research projects and works and submissions for the award. She has presented papers in several international seminars, mentioning Smallholder agriculture, women farmers and sustainability scenario in Telangana, India, at a workshop on playing development roles in Heidelberg University, Germany in the year 2017. Madam presented a paper on second in agenda, Women, Land, Agriculture in India, Emerging Concerns in Workshop on Agriculture, Land and People, Comparison of India and China at East China University of Science and Technology during the year 2015. Visited Sweden, Belgium and Heidelberg in the year 2000 and attended a workshop on indigenous peoples, the trajectories of contemporary concept in India, held in Sweden and participated in the academic discussions. Madam has major contributions to the research reports. Madam contributed to the group of ministers appointed by Government of India on bifurcation of the state of Andhra Pradesh on special needs of backward districts of Telangana in the year 2013. Contributed to Indian Rural Development Report during the year 2012 to 13. Coordinated working group constituted by Telangana Development Forum for submission of report on differentiation to Telangana's case for separate statehood to Justice Sri Krishna Committee, April 2010. Contributed to mid-term appraisal of 11th 5-year plan 2007 to 12, agriculture and water management and state horticulture ministry. Madam contributed to the study group on gender and agriculture in formulating the 11th 5-year plan proposals. Contributed to background papers for Andhra Pradesh Human Development Report 2007 prepared by Government of Andhra Pradesh on social movements and human development in Andhra Pradesh and women empowerment and child well-being in Andhra Pradesh. Contributed to alternate economic survey 1991 to 98 on climates. Research is a high form of adoration. Professor E. Revati Madam is the overall coordinator for the research. Support of Telangana State Council for Higher Education. The predominant objective of this research cell on education is comprehensive study of the gamut of issues and challenges in the education at all initiatives, industry-based and structure in Telangana, private education institutions and models of cost recovery, educational services in India, work permit. I've got almost 15 to 20 pages.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I request our honorable guest of honor, Professor E. Revati, madam. Ma'am, we are all anxiously waiting to hear you. Please, ma'am, please address the gathering.
So good morning to all. Thank you all for patiently listening to Dr. vice principal of the college. I think it's not necessary because the precious time of all of us being here, I think, should be spent more productively. That's what I feel. Anyway, good morning to all once again, and respected principal of the college, Dr.D.M, and chief guest of the inaugural session, Professor Swamy, who just left, and Dr.D.M, who is keynote speaker, and Swamy, director of the seminar, and my student, Dr. Malika, and organizing secretary, and all faculty of the college and faculty from other colleges, and dear students. I think you should pay attention. The last student also should pay attention. This is for you, and I think we fail if you don't pay attention. That means you're not engaging with you. So I really congratulate the college for organizing this very important national seminar on new education. The new education policy has been released it is quite some time that the policy has been released, and a lot of discussion has been happening at the national level, state level, and all at different levels. It's to understand the policy, the implementation policy, and the implementation of things, and how it is different from that of the earlier policies. Also, we should be able to understand and know what it means for us, because it touches all aspects of the higher education, not only higher education but also school education, all level policy. And we all know that wider dissemination of this is needed, and for which purpose such seminars will be. Other participants from other states also have joined online, and I'm really grateful to the Swamy that 127 abstracts are listed in the Swamy, and some of the contributions are also from the students. The faculty have encouraged the girl who has filled the badge. She also has an abstract in the Swamy on opportunities and challenges of new education policy in COVID. So I think I look at all if I look at and what are the outcomes of the suggestions and what has come out of this seminar, and I hope that the organizers also would bring out that as a compendium of the seminar along with the papers, good papers, would inform the participants and students also how to write, do a research paper and publish in it. I think that the faculty are also very much involved in encouraging the students to publish papers in certain journals and all, which is also helping them to get a good career further in post-graduation and also in entry admissions into good institutions. So apart from that, let me now concentrate on the new education policy and what it tells and what is new in it compared to that of the earlier education policies, and what is crucial, what are the crucial issues in the policy, and what are the challenges that are there, especially implementation challenges for colleges like us or higher education institutions that are there, because we are beset with so many problems. I think Professor Swamy also has said that what is the nature of higher education institutions in states, and how they are and what kind of facilities they are and what kind of problems or challenges they have, and whether this policy addresses some of these and how do we take up and how do we benefit from this kind of a policy. And we know that education is a social good. If it is a social good, that means it has a purpose. Purpose, it's not only profit motive, but it is also to educate. So if education becomes commercialized, that is merely for profit, then it foregoes the objective of social purpose. So that's the reason why education has been in the public sector, where state has to provide such education facilities to the population at all levels, so that it not only has an end in itself. That means education is not only provided for the people to get gainful employment and get a good career, but also for its own value. That means it has its own value or intrinsic value. That means education is important for us to live in the society, to understand the dynamics of the society, and to also lead a social life in the society, meaningful life in the society. So for that purpose, I think we should not forget social purpose of education, where it is a social good. But the recent trends in education make it as a private good. So what is a private good? Private good means you pay something and you get something out of it. So this kind of paying and getting something out of it, though it happens, it is happening in education also, but we should not forget it also has a social purpose. And we all know that it is also critical for social and economic development and for the purposes of creation of human capital and human development. Because a country's economic development depends on the human capital, and human capital depends on the education, and then all the qualities, foundational issues of education. The foundational issues of education that earlier speakers also have said. We should all remember that these are 5 foundational issues. I think students will easily remember that. That is access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. These are the 5 foundational issues of pillars of higher education, which are Mr. Limbadi also has said. So these foundational pillars. With these foundational pillars only, I think I should also acknowledge here that the Telangana State Council for Higher Education has instituted a research cell at our center 2 years ago, that is in 2020 July, to work on this or to do research, to conduct studies on higher education, especially not on school education, but higher education, and give a policy suggestion and give policy direction to the in the state for higher education. So following that, we have conducted certain studies, and our colleagues in the cell have done enormous work on that. Like what is the kind of prepared a report on higher education in the state of Telangana, looking at the colleges and then the various type of managements under which colleges are, and what are, how they are, and what kind of issues they are facing. So the issues that are mostly faced is regarding quality. Quality of education is the what should I say, foremost problem that we all are facing now. As even Professor Limbadi has said, access is not a problem now, because regarding access, we know that especially if you look at school education, there is 100% enrollment is there. If you look at gross enrollment ratio, it is crossing 100%. net enrollment ratio also, it is good at the primary and secondary and higher secondary and come to undergraduate. If you look at the streams that are there, because our catchment is at the lower level. If lower level enrollment is high, only these people will graduate to the upper levels of education. So I think India as a country and state, all states except barring some few states like eastern states like Bihar and some of these states, the India and India good in rest of the other country and states and even in the also. So if you look at the reducing in the state, you find the age according to the age group, you find the age people literacy rate is less. But among the younger age population, literacy rate is now there is a historical context for that. Because of the state being ruled by limited language or even before where the Telugu medium schooling were not available and Urdu was the local language medium of instruction historically at that time. We find that the literacy rate is very low among especially 60 to 80 age group of population or even 50 to 60 age group of population. So that is a, what should I say, that is a lacuna or black mark for us because of historical. Younger age children, like now I think it's like if your household is not sending a child to school, it is like outcasting them. Nobody would appreciate that household if they are not sending their children to the school. So that has become a social norm. Social norm means that is a good practice that is there, and if somebody is not sending their child or somebody is making their child to work as a child labor, so that is being admonished or that is being not appreciated by the society. So of course, what I mean to say is that access to education is good. Primary and secondary also is good, and at higher secondary also it is good. But coming to the higher education, also it is good. All India higher education gross enrollment in ABC 27%. No, currently 2021 it is 27%. Whereas state of Telangana has achieved almost 36%. We all know that because it is gross enrollment ratio in higher education is more here. So access and enrollment, and that is not a problem, but quality is a problem, and accountability is also a problem because it is all public in the public education system. Accountability means governance. Governance, what is happening to the governance and why there is a lack of accountability, especially in the school education system, which is the basis for building up of quality. So one point we have to remember is that if quality is not at the level given, there is a deficit in quality. That means if a student studying in primary level of education is not able to perform which is expected of a primary student, but still moves on to secondary level, then there is a deficit there. And again, the deficit is accumulated even at secondary level. If she or he is not able to perform what is expected at the secondary level, moves on to the higher secondary, and so on to intermediate, and so on to graduation, so on to post-graduation and PhD level also. Even our students who are coming to PhD, we feel, especially this last year, the batch that has come, I think it's called as COVID batch, and where students were given online, imparted education online, we could not find that they are appropriate to the expectation of a postgraduate level while we were recruiting them into the PhD program, and that deficit is there. So in normal sense itself, there is a deficit because of the quality of education, because of lack of quality education.
So this deficit, if it is gets accumulated, we feel that even I think most of the teachers also might have faced this problem. When there is a class of students, what we expect is we have to go along according to the syllabus and move, not go back and revise it, but also go forward and continue with the syllabus. But if there is a deficit, then I think it takes a longer time for the teacher to make up with the deficit so that the students should catch up with the syllabus that is there and also go through the learning process. That means the teaching learning process will be very difficult if there is a deficit. So at every stage, though there is an access that is there, but due to quality issues, we are unable to make the learning process very effective, and the number of studies like ASA reports are students at higher in higher education institutions also there are some studies which show that how it is not many primary studies are also there where they are expected to do something but they are unable to do. This lack of quality or lack of deficit in knowledge will get reflected they should be most of the companies also they train them again and then make them suitable for the jobs that they are being recruited to. I think this we have to keep in mind. And the new education policy doesn't address this kind of issues that are there. See, first new education policy, I think it is 1968. Second is in 1986. These new education policies have come in the context of where government was the leader or government was the public education system was the only system. At that time, we did not have much of private education system. So it was like a consolidation, especially second education policy, that is in 1986. It was like a consolidation of education. But come to the third, that is 2020 education policy, it is expansion of higher education. And this expansion of higher education is done where the 6% enrollment is in private institutions. So the context has changed. Of higher education. That means a higher percentage of students are entering into higher education. So, and there are private that are there along with the public institutions. And we know that public institutions or government institutions problems due to allocation of resources, financial resources that are there, and then the takeover of private institutions are there, and private institutions have contributed to enrollment of in higher education. Of course, we cannot deny that. But what is happening to the quality of education that we have to keep in mind. So this is the context in of education in the context of new education policy. And also I think we also need to keep in mind the requirements of the new education policy. That is because of the revolution. That is what, because now I think we are mostly into information technology, science and technology, and bio information, and then biotechnology. Sorry, and all of these are important. Students along with their subject also to get the skill so that they adapt to the new technology. This also has been done. An area in the new education policy that are there. And one more point I want to raise: the education was in concurrent list. I think your science students are there, BA political science students. There are list and concurrent list. So education was. What does that mean? State, center, state. ఇద్దరికి కూడా దాని మీద ఉంటుంది. కానీ దాన్ని ఏం చేస్తున్నారు అంటే కంకరెంట్ లిస్ట్ లో ఉన్నటువంటి అంశాన్ని
సెంటర్ ఎక్కువగా తన పరిధిలోకి తీసుకునేటువంటి ప్రయత్నం చేస్తుంది. అంటే ఈ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ పాలసీ అనేటువంటిది దేశం పాలసీని విధించడం ద్వారా రాష్ట్రాల్లో ఉన్నటువంటి వివిధ రకమైనటువంటి పరిస్థితులు ఉంటాయి కదా, మన భౌగోళికంగా కానీ సామాజికంగా కానీ ఇతరత్ర కూడా వివిధ రకాలైనటువంటి పరిస్థితులన్నింటినీ తీసుకోకుండా ఒకే రకమైనటువంటి పాలసీని తీసుకురావడం అనేటువంటి అంటే దాని కొన్ని అడ్వాంటేజెస్ ఉంటాయి, but there are also certain disadvantages where states are not being, should be left to the states because states face different kinds of maybe social groups. Somewhere there are more, some states are more tribal in nature. Some states it is language issues, and northeast you find lot of language issues are there. So despite of all these economic conditions of the state, if you say that in the states and the center, then some of the issues that are raised in the policy. So that is one thing that we have to remember. And then these the states, how does actually what they converge in the sense platform for implementation of that I think should come up for discussion even in the 2-day seminar that is there. And we know that this new education policy 50% of GR. Now I think we know at the country level it is 27%. So what does it aim? What is the objective? It is aiming at higher education at 50% by 2035. You all know that. So fulfilling the sustainable SDG goals. UN Sustainable Development Goals. So that is one, that leaving nobody behind, not leave anybody behind for education, any level of education that is there. So that also is there, and of course there are still fall into the foremost countries that are there. Still it is behind China and then other countries there, and the new education policies that India will become Vishwaguru in the coming years, so that it will lead at the knowledge path of the world that's there. So the objectives are laudable or commendable, but we also should have sources. I come to that point little later. What are how much of our GDP should be spent on higher education? How much allocation? So that we leave it to entirely to the private education. There will be problems of access also, because private education commodity means you will have to purchase the higher education, and that means those who cannot afford that. Economically, those who cannot afford it also enter into the higher education. Report also shows that education is the cause for income inequality. Education that the children employment. If you are educated in a good school, college, and quality education, then you will get the chances of your employment will be good. Not only chances of employment, chances of better employment, chances of getting higher income employment will be good. So if now at the education level itself, there are so many kinds of different types of managements. I think we come across different types of managements of education, school or in college. Even in the government education, different managements. We find residential school management, we find Zilla Parshad school, local body schools that are there, and we find non ashram schools for the tribals. So like this, different managements are there, and even in the private sector, we find low income budget schools are there, and then corporate schools are there, and then like this kind of spectrum of different management schools or types of schools transit to the college also, colleges and universities. We are in we find that there are so many number of private universities are there, and then the quality of education in some high-end private education is really very good, and the cost of education is also like that. It depends on the quality and cost. Higher the cost, higher the quality, higher the cost. So if such kind of a system, such kind of a differentiated education system is there, this breeds inequality. Inequality is inequality to opportunity. Opportunity to, of course, there is access to education. Everybody is getting educated, or everybody is getting what kind of education are they? The quality of education that they are getting, and what kind of prospects do they have in the future in the early livelihood and all. So that inequality report clearly states that the inequality reason or the root cause for inequality is there, and because of that difference of education, it also results in the earning capacity of the individuals. This is very important because India is a country where the demographic dividend is there. We find the percentage of population, younger age population is very high, and this younger age to train them properly and give them the appropriate skills that needed for their employment in the labor market, then that would be really that means we are not using our labor or not using our demographic dividend productively and properly. So, are these questions also addressed in the new education policy? Is thing that we should be looking at. So, I'm not just focusing on what is there in the policy, because you can all read what is there in the policy and all that. But what are the crucial issues that are there, and what are the challenges that we will be facing in this new education policy that are there. So, of course, the objective of this education policy is to deliver equity and inclusive higher education. Inclusive education, it means it should be inclusive of gender, it should be inclusive of social groups. Social groups in the sense scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and then all kinds of sections of the population. Gender, of course, which is inclusive. Professor Limbaki also is saying that you all would say that you find more girls in a class compared to that of boys. Where are all the boys going, we do not know. Especially recent enrollment, we find that even 76% enrollment is girls. I don't know where boys are going. I also heard from the university saying that they have not appeared for the exams also, not appeared for entrance exams also. But some of the studies, if you look at our own study of young lives that we have been mentioning, that is, we have tracked children from very young age that of same children, and looking at whether they are continuing in education or whether they have dropped out. If they have dropped out, what are the reasons? And so that study results also show that there is a compulsion on boys, younger male, to work and to earn. So maybe they are entering into the labor market, leaving education also. So that is one reason that is coming up in the studies, saying that they are leaving education. But it's a good thing that the age of marriage for girls is increased, so they are postponing marriage and they are entering into higher education and of course, what are the crucial issues that are there? I'll take another 15 minutes. No, but there's a problem with those. They also should be comfortable. Okay, so what are the crucial issues that are there. So there is a flexible kind of pathway to higher education, higher learning. That means the new education policy that says that it's a flexible pathway to higher education, and there is that means they can acquire degree at any or they can choose the subjects that they want, and they can free entry and exit, multiple entry and multiple exit is there. I think that is good, because if somebody wants to work in between and then later enter into the education stream once they are comfortable economically, this gives a kind of facilitates that. But also again, there is a regarding national academic credit rank system. I think this students acquiring credits from different universities or different institutions. That is one area that is one which is already incorporated into the new education policy. But for that to be implemented, it should be that all the institutions should be at a equal level. So if that is not the case, then it will be problematic. And also it says, the policy says that 50% of credit from a single university should be acquired by the students. So there is, for this kind of flexibility, there are these issues of language that's coming up, because if you look at pan-India, then students from other states, they have these language issues, and students in rural areas also vernacular language and English language. Of course, there is English language now we are promoting at all levels, starting from the school itself, but it will take some time for catching up with the language itself. So these problems will be there, where and even there are some tribal languages where they want. I think I saw one paper in your is also what is the number of tribal languages that are there, and how tribals face a double kind of problem that's there, because they also cannot are not comfortable in Telugu also, and then switching over to English would be great difficulty. So these should be solved, because it is not that English is necessary for us, all of us, because it's a communicative language, and that's the language where we all seek our livelihoods, and then it should not be deprived. But the language, how it should be taught and how it should be learned is important. And then the facility of choosing the language also should be given. I think that provision is also there in the new education policy, which is good, or which is very important. And and there is an institutional restructuring. I think new education policy talks of three kinds of universities. That is research intensive, teaching intensive, and then autonomous institutions. I think now we have a system mostly of affiliating system. And in this affiliating system, everything is left to the mother university, and then whatever they do, it is the same thing will be followed by the affiliating colleges. But giving autonomy to the college means that they have to think creatively, innovatively, and then devise their own patterns, curriculum. Curriculum also is a very important issue where almost all curriculum should be updated every periodically, so that we address the issues of the recent changes that are happening in the society. Especially in social sciences, we tend to lag behind sometimes. So we need to sit together and then work on the curriculum and to make it very appropriate and then suitable to the needs of the economy and society, because economy is dynamically changing, and the needs have to be brought into that curriculum. That means there is a kind of sometimes there is a industry academia collaboration also. This is mostly there we find in the private universities. Private universities are very closely interact with the needs of the industry, and then according to the needs of the industry, they design the courses, and then so that there is a employment is soon after they complete, they are being employed in that we've offered placements and all. So such kind of need is also there in public education system, but which has to be more periodic and then concurrent. And then the big colleges, that means I think it talks about 3,000 enrollment, and then to make such institutions as autonomous institutions or. But dividing between research and teaching is also not good. That's what some scholars have felt. Because all this, we have done some brainstorming sessions on at the national level and at the state level, and we gathered opinions of all scholars who are working on education issues. So most of them felt that it is not good to divide between that of research institutions, universities and teaching in universities, because there should be both together. I mean, if you do research, it has to be disseminated to the students, and from the students' works, it has to come into the research. So that is, I think, it's important. And then there is also monodiscipline institutions. I think I have some figures, data showing how many are monodiscipline. Now we need to, if a large institution has to be there, there have to be number of disciplines. So we talk what is interdisciplinary in pluridiscipline institutions, multidiscipline institutions. That means many disciplines have to be there in an institution, and students should have a choice of interdisciplinary. What Professor Limbadi was talking, that means choice of the student from one to the other, and then the public system and all. But that will be possible, of course, in a big institute or bigger higher education institute where at least 3,000 enrollment is there. That means number of disciplines will be more. But if it is not so, then what are the other alternative methods to make resources available for the institute? So there comes this models of cluster model that's there. I think even the government of Telangana, State Council for Higher Education, actually we have prepared some background paper for that, this cluster model. And this cluster model is not a new thing. It was implemented in the context of schools also, where there are a number of schools which are nearby, form as a cluster, and teachers' resources are shared between among the schools that are falling into one cluster. So you need not have teachers or disciplines in all schools or all institutions, but teachers can move from one institution to the other, especially those of liberal arts, and then those kind of painting, music, and dancing kind of liberal arts and all. So such cluster system will enable these resources to be used by all the higher education institutions in one cluster. I think Council for Higher Education has implemented this system in Hyderabad itself, where 8 to 9. I don't know if your college is part of that. You're not part of the cluster system. Yes. So we have also invited. We made a background paper for that, and then we are also looking at how that is performing. But that requires some kind of a common guidelines that have to be implemented, and all colleges should come together and come on devise some common guidelines that are there, and how they share the resources with each other and all. And students also can move from one institution to the other institution. So that also is there in the policy, which is good. But of course, for that, a platform, that is groundwork, has to be done. So for all these which are good, implementable, there's a lot of groundwork that has to be done, because for these higher education institutions, as I said, they are belonging to different kinds. That is not only private, public, but also different managements and then disciplines also. They have only, if you look at B.Ed colleges, you have only just B.Ed colleges are offering only teacher training. They don't have anything else. So how do you bring them? How do you bring them together? And then if you look at some of the colleges are offering only 1 or 2 kinds of courses are there. And if there is no admission into certain courses, they are closing also. So these problems are there, and then for these, I think a lot of groundwork has to be done if you want to implement some of these. And then the, of course, quality dimension, as I've said, that there is deteriorating quality that is there, but this quality is also the problem is that when there is a massification of education, that means most of there is large enrollment in higher education. People are coming from different socio-economic background. That means who are first generation learners, as Professor Limbadi also was saying. That means in the household, he is only the first generation learner, and he or she doesn't have any kind of hand holding in the house. So that becomes a very constrained kind of thing or hurdle for them to catch up or learn. And there, I think residential system will help, where I think teachers should act as mentors and act as or even in out of college hours also, where they have tutorial kind of things, and then the remedial teaching arrangements are to be made for those students who are falling behind or who are unable to catch up with the others. So such kind of measures have to be taken up for ensuring quality that is there. And we know that private sector, 2/3 of students are in private management now, which is a challenge for promoting equity also. As I said that private institutions charge a lot of fee and all, and then some studies show that 20% of the income is being spent for one child, to educate one child at a higher education level. So if that is the case, then if something like, for example, the recent COVID pandemic, if you take, then that hit the incomes of households a lot. So there are also dropouts there, and then we also found case studies, or some studies have said that there are child marriages, not child marriages, early marriages also have taken place in case of girls, and then lot of other things. That means if there is, in economics we say that if there is scarcity, then it will be ration. Ration means the preference order comes. So what is the preference in household? Again, the preference for boys comes there. I don't know, this is contradictory. Now we are not finding many boys in education, but whether this phenomena is for general education, also for technical education. Boys might be going for technical education then. Only for general education, girls might be coming. So this we find in even government schools and private schools. For example, households send boys to private schools and girls to government schools. So though access is there, this kind of preference and discrimination at some level there, especially that comes out when there is a scarcity kind of situation. So therefore, shocks like COVID kind of shocks that are there, pandemic shocks that are there, where the household incomes are hit, then these are also coming to fore, and where we find that such practices are there, and women are being burdened by household chores and all, helping household activity and all. So these I think they will definitely affect the enrollment and access to some of these sections of the population also. And the other thing that I want to focus on is what is happening to the expenditure on education. See, you know, the new education policy said the same thing again. 6% of GDP must be allocated to education. This has been said since Kotari Commission. So every commission says 6% of GDP. What is equivalent amount of 6% of GDP should be spent or expenditure on education. If you look at actual figures that are there, you find that government education, there is 4% of GDP as expenditure on education is there. And out of that 4% also, how much is being spent by government of India and how much is allocated spent by the states put together. If you look at that, government of India is spending only 1%, 3% of the total expenditure on education is coming from the states put together. So therefore, we find that government of India is not spending as much as it has to. And whatever it is spending mostly on higher education, not much on school education, but much on higher education. Even in higher education also, if you look at the pattern of spending, it is the most of the allocation is going to elite institutions like central universities and institutions similar kind of IITs, central universities, and those kind of institutions, and not much to that of state universities and then other kind of institutions that are there. So those kind of we have done one study on patterns of public expenditure on education. How much is government of India is spending, how much states are spending, and even state of Telangana is also spending only 2% of its GDP on education. Some other states are spending more than 2% also. So this overall spending on education has to increase. Unless you increase, you cannot address the problem of quality at all. So on an overall basis, government of India has to, because now that new education policy says so many things, it has to accompany with increased financial resources for higher education. So if that is not coming and you are simply talking about quality and all, that will be like empty slogans only. So these are like that's the point that is coming up. I don't want to burden more with data and all. So it's like states, of course, states are spending more on school education compared to higher education, and center is spending more on higher education compared to school education. But center is spending more on elite kind of institutions, not on state education institutions, and private expenditure is also high. Private expenditure as percentage of GDP is 2.5%. That means if you combine public expenditure and private expenditure, it comes to 6%. But what is public expenditure? It's only 4%. Rest of it is coming from the private expenditure. So this is called as what is called as out-of-pocket expenditure. You find that both in health and education, these are the two major aspects where households are really getting into indebtedness. We have done indebtedness studies also. What is the reason? Reason is this. Go to any health hospital, you are stripped of your money. Though it is needed or not needed, you are made to undergo tests and all that and be in the hospital, and then all of us have experienced, especially during COVID period, it is like what should I say, stripping the people. So education and health, which is social expenditure, we are saying, these two are the major draining kind of things from for the households. That is the reason why they are getting into debt, they are falling into debt trap, and they are unable to get out of this debt trap. So I think that is 2.5%. That's it. And similarly, we have this per capita expenditure on education and all that is increasing. Per capita expenditure on different courses also is there, like general course and then technical course and all this. So now come to, I just have to give a focus on Telangana state and end up in 5 minutes. So Telangana state also has, I think it's one of the states where privatization of higher education is high. You find more percentage of colleges, institutions, and enrollment in private sector. And also 80%, I think, private 80%. And other things are, some of the others are good things, that is female enrollment is more, and then there's not much gap between religions and socioeconomic groups, so all that is okay. And but employability is also not that good. Only 40% of graduates are being employable. So there is a gap between the education and employability because of the skills that are appropriate skills are not there for the graduates. So that is one issue that I think the seminar also will deliver. As I said that we have also tried to discuss this new education policy and implementation challenges at state level. What are the implementation challenges? What is the structure of higher education in the state? Whether there are many higher education institutions have low enrollment, 500 and less than that also there are some colleges are there. Of course, after state formation, some of these engineering colleges have been closed by limiting the fee reimbursement kind of program that's there. But still, if you look at the structure, there are monodiscipline colleges, single discipline colleges, and more private colleges. And so, how do we bring them onto one platform? That is one issue. And as I said, that we have charted out what are the implementation challenges at the state level and how to go about with this implementation of this new education policy. And some of which restructuring maybe started slowly because managements have to come together. The real problem is how we bring the managements together onto one plane. So to start with, the public higher education institutions can be brought together so that there is a they can come together as a cluster or as a kind of multidisciplinary kind of institutions coming together, sharing their resources. But for that also, managements have to discard kind of their egos and they should come out of their own kind of isolated kind of thing and then talk to each other and how to really make use of our resources efficiently and bring offer the students different kinds of disciplines that are there. I think there the cluster system which has been in implementation in the state shows some light. And maybe we can expect that that also will continue. So I thank for the opportunity given me and
thank you very much, ma'am, for your good insights into the new education policy. So students at the back, please see this handout. A 6 pages handout has been prepared by Professor Revati Madam through her by the experience of her research on higher education. This is about you. So please pay attention. So thank you very much, ma'am. Ma'am has elaborated the context in which the new education policy has been framed, the earlier context when there was not that much of privatization. But now this new education policy in the context of privatization, globalization, ma'am has at length dwelt on the aims of new education policy at 50% GER by 2035 and also the objectives and focus of NAP, National Academic Grant Credits, and the issues involved in the implementation. Like for the students, the language is a big issue. How can we implement this academic grant credit system when the language issues are involved, and also the expenditure pattern by the central government and also for the Telangana government. Actually, ever since the Kothari Commission has been constituted, 6% has to be allocated, but it is only 2% even by the central or state governments. So, thank you, ma'am, for your thought-provoking address, and also you have brought so many issues involved. I think the faculty members here might have got some few on certain research projects or research papers. Through these issues, we can frame certain research papers. Thank you very much, ma'am, for everything. I'm the student of ma'am. I have learned that commitment, that sincerity from you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. Now I request Dr.D.M madam to give a brief introduction about Dr. Sheikh Kamruddin sir.
Dignitaries, honorees, and officers, a very good afternoon to one and all. Today, I take it a privilege to introduce Dr. It's a privilege for me to introduce Dr. Sheikh Kamruddin, keynote speaker of this national seminar on new educational policy. Dr. Kamruddin is an eminent educationalist and has a teaching experience of 23 years at undergraduate, postgraduate, and research levels. He is involved in research, training, and consultancy. He is working as assistant professor in the Department of Management and Commerce in Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Hyderabad. He also worked at Indian University in various levels. He obtained his PhD in Human Resource Development from Swamy University, MPhil from MK University, Madurai, MA in Public Administration from SV University, Tirupati, and MBA from IGNOU. Dr. Kamlistin is actively engaged in research work on various aspects, and his areas of interest include human resource development, organization behavior, change management, spirituality, and management. He has published a good number of research papers and articles in reputed international and national journals and books. He is also a research person to various government training centers and HRTs of different universities. He published 40 research papers in national and international journals and actively participated and presented papers in more than 50 national and international conferences. He authored 2 books and was an editorial board member in 4 journals. He has attended more than 19 conferences, workshops, activities, and he guided PhD and MPhil scholars also. He delivered more than 200 lectures on spirituality, human resource management, stress management, resilience, and life skills on various platforms, including government training centers like HRTs and district training centers. And he is also a recipient of various awards and also a member of various professional bodies that include Global Organization First Prize USA, All India Management Association, New Delhi, etc. And with these few words, I invite Dr. Kamlistin on behalf of all of us to this seminar. Thank you.
మీ టైం ఎక్కువ తీసుకోండి ఎందుకంటే స్కూల్లో మార్నింగ్ ఎనర్జీ స్టార్ట్ అవుతా ఉంటాయి చాలా యాక్టివ్గా ఉంటాం ఆఫ్టర్నూన్ అయ్యేటప్పటికి లైబ్రరీ చదువుతుంది పొద్దున మైండ్ పని చేస్తూ ఉంటుంది మధ్యాహ్నం పొట్ట పని చేస్తూ ఉంటుంది ఈ టైంలో ఏం చెప్పినా ఇక్కడికి వెళ్ళే విషయాలు చెప్తే కానీ ఇక్కడికి వెళ్ళే విషయాలు చెప్పడం కష్టంగా సో just like 10 minutes with the combination of both students and faculty. So surprising అనిపించింది ఏ విషయం అంటే జస్ట్ ఒక 20 రోజుల క్రితము ఒక పెద్ద ఇంటర్నేషనల్ పబ్లిక్ స్కూల్కి నా కొలీగ్ తీసుకెళ్ళాను హైదరాబాద్ లో నేను హైదరాబాద్లో స్కూల్స్ విజిట్ చేసింది చాలా ఎక్సెప్ట్ గవర్నమెంట్ almost Telangana maximum government degree colleges, government universities, government schools, villages, and corporate schools. Even though I work for corporate universities. నాకు ఒక రోజు పట్టింది కోలుకోవడానికి తర్వాత స్కూల్కి వెళ్ళేసిన తర్వాత ఇలాంటి క్లాస్ అవ్వగానే మా ప్రొఫెసర్ గారి క్లాస్ని మా పిల్లోడిని మా అమ్మాయిని స్కూల్లో చేర్పించాలి స్కూల్ అడ్మిషన్స్ తీసుకున్నాం వెళ్దాము వస్తావా అంటే సరే నాకు అంత తెలియదు కదా చూద్దాం చూసారా అని చెప్పేసి కూర్చున్నాను ఈ కాలేజీలో ఎప్పుడు కావాలంటే ఫ్రీగా వస్తారు ఫ్రీగా వెళ్తారు ముందు బయట సెక్యూరిటీ గార్డ్ ఆపాడు నువ్వు ఎవరైతే నాకేంటి ముందు సెక్యూరిటీ గార్డ్ ఆపాడు పర్మిషన్ ఉందా అన్నాడు లేదా అడ్మిషన్ కోసం అన్నాడు ఫస్ట్ నేను ఫోన్ చేయాలి అన్నాడు ఫోన్ చేశాను మొబైల్ ఇవ్వండి అన్నాడు ఇచ్చాము స్కాన్ చేయాలి అన్నాడు స్కాన్ తీసుకున్నాడు లోపల ఫోన్ చేశాడు ఫోన్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఇది ఇంత హంగామా అయిన తర్వాత లోపలికి సరే మా కొలీగ్ మాట్లాడుతూ ఉన్నాడు నేను ఇంకా బయటికి వచ్చాము ఒకటి 4th క్లాస్ 6th క్లాస్ అయిన వాళ్ళని చెప్పారు 4th క్లాస్ చెప్పారు 6th క్లాస్ 2,00,000 నేను ఎప్పుడు జీవితం ఫస్ట్ షాక్ ఎందుకంటే గవర్నమెంట్ స్కూల్స్ లో చదివిన మొత్తం ఫీజు కలిపి 15,000 స్కాలర్షిప్ గవర్నమెంట్ స్కూల్ ఇంటర్మీడియట్, డిగ్రీ, యూనివర్సిటీ, మేడం చేస్తున్నటువంటి ఎంఫిల్, ఉస్మానియా నుంచి పిహెచ్డి ఖర్చు ఎక్కడ తీసుకురావడం. ఎవరు జీవితం స్కూల్లో వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు, కాలేజీలో వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు, యూనివర్సిటీస్ లో వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు ఎవరు ఎక్కడ ఆఫీస్ దాఖలా నాకు ఫస్ట్ టైం నేను ప్రైవేట్ స్కూల్లో ఎంట్రీ అయ్యేటప్పుడు మొత్తం అయిన తర్వాత అంత డబ్బు తీసుకొచ్చిన కట్టాలని చెప్పేసి అన్న అడ్మిషన్స్ ఆర్ క్లోజ్. అడ్మిషన్స్ ఆర్ క్లోజ్. 4 లక్షలు ఇద్దరు కలిపి పెట్టడానికి రెడీ అడ్మిషన్స్ ఆర్ క్లోజ్. నేను అమాయకంగా అన్నాను, ఇళ్ళ దగ్గర అంత కష్టపడటం ఏంటి, గవర్నమెంట్ అన్ని స్కూల్స్ ఉన్నాయి, అన్ని కాలేజెస్ ఉన్నాయి, మనం అక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చాం కదా, గవర్నమెంట్ స్కూల్స్. నా అనుభవం మొత్తం మీద కూడా ఎవరైతే తన కారణం మీద సీతాపతి చెల్లి ఒక సామెత, తన శైలి తన పదవులతో బయటకు వస్తుంది, సమానంగా ఎవరైనా పనిచేస్తుంది. అది గవర్నమెంట్ స్కూల్స్ కాలేజెస్ ఉంటారు. ఎప్పుడైతే ఆ శైలి ఉంటుంది కదా, ఉంటుంటారు కదా, ఇంకొక పరగొట్టి తనలో ఉన్నటువంటి శక్తి సామర్థ్యాలు మొత్తం కూడా అది ఇంకొక సెక్టార్లో పనిచేస్తాం. గవర్నమెంట్ కాలేజెస్ లో చదివి కార్పొరేట్ సెక్టార్ లో పనిచేసి సెక్టర్ నుంచి వచ్చినప్పుడు ఎన్నో రకాల అటువంటి శక్తి సామర్థ్యాన్ని నేర్పించేటువంటి కేంద్రంలో మనం అందరం కూర్చొని మన దగ్గర ఏం తీసుకుంటాం. ₹1,00,000 ఫీజు పెట్టిన ₹1,000 ఫీజు కట్టి కోట్ల రూపాయల విలువైనటువంటి నాలెడ్జ్ ఇచ్చేటువంటి ఫ్యాకల్టీ అందరికీ మనం చూస్తామంటే గవర్నమెంట్ అప్లికేషన్స్ దానికి ప్రతికే రేవతి మేడం మీరు బయట ఆశ్చర్యం వేసింది. పిల్లలు మనకు జీవితంతో 2 రకాలుగా జరుగుతాయి. ఒకటి ఏంటంటే ఒక విషయం అర్థం కాలేదు అనుకోండి, అర్థం కాని విషయం ఎందుకు అర్థం కాలేదు, అర్థం చేసే స్థాయికి మనకు కాదు, మాట్లాడే వాటి స్థాయి మన రాయితీ కాదు. ఒక చోట మనం కూర్చున్నప్పుడు కసి ఎలా ఉంటుంది అంటే నేర్చుకుని ముందుకు వెళ్ళడానికి 90% మంది ప్రపంచంలో వాళ్ళు చెప్తుంది నాకేం అర్థం కావట్లేదు, ఎంత విలువైనటువంటి విషయాలను కోల్పోతున్నామో కూడా అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. మన యొక్క శక్తి సామర్థ్యాన్ని పెంపొందించుకోవడానికి కాకుండా అవతల వాడి యొక్క శక్తి అవతల ఉన్నటువంటి వ్యక్తి మన శక్తి సామర్థ్యం ఇలాంటి ఆపర్చునిటీస్ మనం చదువుకునే రోజుల్లోనే యూనివర్సిటీస్ లో కాలేజెస్ లో మాత్రమే జరుగుతుంది. బయటికి ఒకసారి బయటికి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత మన ఐడి కార్డు బయటికి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత మనకి మళ్ళీ కాలేజీ లైబ్రరీస్ యాక్సెస్ ఉంటుంది. బయటికి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత మళ్ళీ మనకు కాలేజ్ లో ఎంట్రీ ఉండదు, ఫ్యాకల్టీ మాట్లాడారు యూనివర్సిటీలో. The period of time is given for 3 years or 4 years to learn, and makers are and never expect in the life that other people who come to your life. And 4 or 5% students మాత్రమే. ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మీకు చెప్పాను. ఇక్కడ మీ మేడం కూర్చొని మళ్ళీ she was my student undergraduate means during the time లో she was civil services ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ కూర్చొని ఒకే ఒక పబ్లిక్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ పోస్ట్ స్టేట్ మొత్తం మీద సార్ ఒకటే పోస్ట్ పడింది, మనకి ఏమొస్తుందో ఏమో, ఇది ఎక్కడా లేదు పోస్ట్, స్టేట్ కంబైన్డ్ స్టేట్ ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ ఒకటే పోస్ట్ పడింది. ఎట్లా ఒకటి మన మీద there is a good number of unstable positions. There is a police department posts ఇక్కడ గ్రూప్ 1 పోస్ట్ 500 వస్తాయి. మనం అందరం కూర్చొని ఏమనుకుంటాం అంటే 4 పోస్టులు ఉన్నాయి కదా, మనకేం వస్తుంది. 15 పోస్టులే ఉన్నాయి కదా, మనకేం వస్తుంది? Four government jobs and 2 government services, 6 government jobs and the toughest center, research center. భారతదేశంలో ఉన్నటువంటి 14 టాప్ రీసెర్చ్ సెంటర్స్ లో సెస్ అనేటువంటి ఒక లీడింగ్ రీసెర్చ్ సెంటర్ కి నేతృత్వం వహించి ఈ నూతన విద్యా విధానాన్ని ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్తూ తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వానికి విద్యా విధానంలో ఏమంటాం మార్గదర్శకత్వం వహిస్తున్నటువంటి ఒక నాలెడ్జబుల్ పర్సన్ మనం కూర్చొని ఉన్నప్పుడు ఒక విద్యార్థిగా మనం ఎంత నేర్చుకోవాల్సి వస్తుందంటే మీరు నేర్చుకున్నారో లేదో తెలియదు. నాకైతే మంచి అవకాశం విద్యార్థి ఇచ్చారు డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ అడిషనల్ మాట్లాడటం చాలా ఈజీ, తెలుసుకోవడమే చాలా కష్టం. తెలుసుకున్న దాన్ని అమలు చేయడం ఇంకా కష్టంగా. ఫండ్ ఆఫ్ ద థింగ్స్ నువ్వు ఎప్పుడైతే మనం క్వాలిటీస్ ని డెవలప్ చేసుకుంటామో వాళ్ళు ఐఐటీమా హార్వర్డ్ ఇంకొకట ఎక్కడ మేడం ఎక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చారు వరంగల్లో కాకతీయ యూనివర్సిటీ పిహెచ్డి చేసి మొత్తం ప్రపంచం మొత్తానికి కావాల్సినటువంటి పరిశోధనలు చేసి ఇక్కడ మన తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్రం నుంచి అద్భుతంగా అందిస్తున్నాం. ప్రపంచంలో మనం ఎదగడానికి కావాల్సింది మన యొక్క శక్తి సామర్థ్యాలు, మనకు వచ్చిన అవకాశాన్ని ఎలా సద్వినియోగం చేసుకుంటాము, దాంతో మనం ఎలా ముందుకు ఎదుగుతూ మనతో పాటు ఉన్నటువంటి వాళ్ళందరికీ మార్గదర్శకత్వం ఎలా చేస్తామన్నటువంటి వారే నిజమైనటువంటి పరిపూర్ణమైనటువంటి వ్యక్తిత్వం కలిగినటువంటి ఒక వ్యక్తిగా నలుగురు జీవితం. చూడండి, మీరందరూ డిగ్రీ తీసుకొని బయటకు వెళ్ళబోతున్నారు. తెలుగు మార్పులు విద్యా వ్యవస్థలో వస్తుంది, తెలుగు మార్పులు వస్తాయి. సడన్ గా మా యూనివర్సిటీ మేము స్టడీ చేసుకున్నాం. బిఏ కానీ బీకామ్ కానీ బిఎస్సి కానీ బీటెక్ కానీ మేము కండక్ట్ చేసుకుంటాం. అన్ని పోస్ట్ గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ కి మేము కండక్ట్ చేస్తుంటాం. అన్ని పిహెచ్డి ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ కి మేము కండక్ట్ చేస్తాం. మిగతా యూనివర్సిటీ సంబంధం. ఈ సంవత్సరం కొత్త రెగ్యులేషన్ వచ్చేసింది. అన్ని యూజీ సెంట్రల్ యూనివర్సిటీస్ లో అన్ని చోట్ల ఈజీ ఆఫర్ చేస్తున్నారు, ఈజీ ఆఫర్ చేస్తున్నారు. అన్ని కూడా సెంట్రలైజ్డ్ గా ఒకటే సిస్టమ్ అంటే మనము పోటీ తత్వము కాంపిటీషన్ ఏ స్థాయికి వెళ్తుందంటే, నిన్న మన ఊర్లో మన జిల్లాలో ఉన్నటువంటి కాలేజీకి అప్లికేషన్ పెట్టి మనం సీట్ తీసుకోవడం ఒకటైతే దోస్తు ద్వారా రాష్ట్రంలో ఎక్కడైనా పెట్టి రాష్ట్ర స్థాయిలో మనము కంప్లీట్ చేసి సీట్ తీసుకోవచ్చు. రెండో లెవెల్ జరిగితే ఇప్పుడు ఇంకొక యూనివర్సిటీ కావాలంటే జాతీయ స్థాయిలో మనం అందరినీ కాంపీట్ చేస్తున్నటువంటి పరిస్థితి రేపు ఈ సంవత్సరం నుంచి మనం దీని గురించి మనకు ఎంత అవగాహన కలుగుతుంటారు. స్టూడెంట్ అంటే సింగిల్ నోట్ రావచ్చు, బట్ ఒక కసిలో కాలేజీకి స్టార్ట్ అవ్వాలి, ఒక విజన్ తో స్టడీతో కాలేజీకి రావాలి. బయటికి వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు దాన్ని ఫుల్ఫిల్ చేస్తూ మనం బయటికి వెళ్ళాలి. దిస్ ఇస్ ద వే ఇట్ ఇస్ ఆల్ ఎఫెక్ట్. సో రెండో చిన్న విషయం చెప్తాను అందరికీ, మనం అందరం ఇక్కడ టీచింగ్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ లో ఉన్నాం కాబట్టి ప్రెసెంట్ 21వ శతాబ్దంలో చెప్పే 22 సంవత్సరాలు ఈ 2022లో ప్రపంచంలో అన్ని వ్యవస్థలతో పాటు మనుషులు కూడా అసలాపకం అవుతుంది. ఆర్థికంగా కానీ, లేదంటే ఆరోగ్యపరంగా కానీ, విద్యాపరంగా కానీ, మానసిక పరంగా అత్యంత 21వ శతాబ్దం ప్రధానమైనటువంటి జబ్బు ఏంటంటే మానసిక సమస్య. This is the 21st century biggest challenge. It's not a chance of happening. ఇటువంటి జనరేషన్ లో మనం అందరం బయటికి వెళ్ళబోతున్నాం. నేను చెప్తున్నటువంటి మాటలు కాదు, ఎన్నో రోజుల నుంచి నేను చేసినటువంటి పరిశోధనలో తెలిసినటువంటి విషయం ఏంటంటే డిప్రెషన్, స్ట్రెస్, ఎమోషనల్ ఇంబ్యాలెన్స్ అండ్ ఫ్రస్ట్రేషన్స్, ఆత్మహత్యలు, రకరకాల వాటికి అలవాటు పడతాం. యూత్ లో ప్రతి 10 మందిలో 7 ఈ విషయాలతో బాధపడుతుంది. రెండవది, ఇటువంటి టైంలో ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇప్పటికి ఆల్రెడీ 10 సంవత్సరాలు కట్టారు. డిగ్రీలో 3 years కూర్చోడానికి వచ్చారు. 15 years, 2 సంవత్సరాలు చదువుతారు, 17 years. జీవితంలో సర్టిఫికేట్ ముక్క తీసుకొని బయటకి ఉపయోగపడేది ఫైల్లో ఉపయోగపడేది యాడ్. That's the biggest problem. ఇక్కడ వచ్చి కూర్చోగానే మనకు పుస్తకాలు సర్టిఫికేట్ తీసుకొని ఒక ప్యాటర్న్ ముక్క యాడ్ చేస్తుంది. This is the biggest challenge of this youth. ఈ ఛాలెంజింగ్ టైమ్స్ లో ఎందుకు చదువుతున్నాం 15 సంవత్సరాలు చదువు ఎడ్యుకేషన్ వాట్ డస్ ఇట్ మీన్, వాట్ డస్ ఇట్ గివ్? దీనికి 15 సంవత్సరాలు డబ్బు సమయం ఎనర్జీ మొత్తం స్పెండ్ చేసిన తర్వాత మనకి ఏం కావాలో తీసుకెళ్తున్నాం. లేదంటే నిరుద్యోగము, మన చేతకానితనము, మన దగ్గర స్కిల్స్ లేకుండా, కాంపిటెన్సీస్ లేకుండా, క్యాలిక్యులేషన్స్ లేకుండా ఫైల్ తీసుకొని వాడి తరపు కొట్టుకుంటూ, వీడి తరపు కొట్టుకుంటూ, గవర్నమెంట్ తరపు కొట్టుకుంటూ, ఉద్యోగాలు పెట్టకపోవడం, అన్నం పెట్టకపోవడం, నా జీవితం పెట్టడం అని అడుగుతున్న పరిస్థితి వస్తున్నాయి. This is the present situation. దీనికి మనము బాగా అలవాటు ఏంటంటే జీవితంలో అక్కడికి సిస్టమ్ని తిట్టడము, వ్యక్తుల్ని తిట్టడము, వ్యవస్థని తిట్టడము, వాళ్ళని విమర్శించడము చేస్తాము. ఆత్మ పరిశీలన చేసుకొని మనం ఎక్కడ ఏం చేయకపోతే మనం ఉంటలేకపోతున్నాము గమనించాలి. ఏంటి రెగ్యులేషన్ కొత్తగా వచ్చిందా? పాలసీ అంటే మన యొక్క విద్యా విధానం ఉంటుంది కదా, మనం చదువుకోవడానికి వస్తాం. చదువు ద్వారా ఏం చేస్తుంటాం? 1 నాలెడ్జ్, 2 లెర్నింగ్, 3 థింకింగ్ ఆస్పెక్ట్స్. ఎలా ఆలోచించాలి, ఎలా ప్రాబ్లమ్ సాల్వ్ చేయాలి, ఎలా డెసిషన్స్ తీసుకోవాలి, ఎలా మానసికంగా స్ట్రాంగ్ గా ఉండాలి, ఎలా మనం సింపథెటిక్ గా ఉండాలి, ఎలా ఇతరుల పట్ల గౌరవంగా ఉండాలి, ఎలా మనం నలుగురితో పనిచేయగలగాలి, ఎలా ఎఫెక్టివ్ గా సమాజంతో కమ్యూనికేట్ చేయాలి. ఈ విషయాల యొక్క సముదాయమే మనకు చదువు. ఈ విషయాల మీద ఎవరైతే ఆధిపత్యము కమాండ్ వస్తుందో వాడే అసలైనటువంటి వ్యక్తిత్వం కలిగినటువంటి సక్సెస్ఫుల్ లీడర్ అవుతాడు జీవితం. డబ్బు సంపాదించిన లీడర్ కాదు. తన మీద తనకు ఆధిపత్యం కలిగి, నాలెడ్జ్ సిస్టమ్స్ మీద ఆధిపత్యం కలిగి, 100 మందిని లర్నింగ్ చేస్తూ, తను బతుకుతూ 100 మందిని బతికిస్తూ తన యొక్క మేధోసంగా అటువంటి వాటిని మనకు నేర్పించడం కోసం ఇది అయిపోయిన తర్వాత మీరు ఈ విధమైనటువంటి మౌనమైనటువంటి వ్యక్తిత్వం కలిగినటువంటి వ్యక్తిగా బయటికి simply not getting the job. This is a small part. If you don't have the rest of the things, jobs comes to your home, knocks to your door. ఎప్పుడు వస్తాయి? when you do have knowledge, when you do have ready to learn, then you are ready to start the new systems which are coming in every field of the world. That is the most important. ఎప్పుడు మనిషికి అవసరమైనటువంటి అవసరానికి సమస్యలను పరిష్కరించేది విద్య. ఎడ్యుకేషన్ అనేది పొలిటికల్ సైన్స్, పబ్లిక్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్, జువాలజీ, బయాలజీ, ఎకనామిక్స్, బయోటెక్నాలజీ, మనిషి యొక్క ఉన్నటువంటి ఒకే ఒక మనిషి. ఈ మనిషి తన యొక్క సమస్యల యొక్క పరిష్కారం కోసం ఏర్పరిచినటువంటి రకరకాల నాలెడ్జ్ కోసం ఆరోగ్యం బాగలేదు. డాక్టర్ అంటే ఏం చేస్తాడు? బట్ ఎంపీలో ఎంఎస్ఎస్ చదువుకొని ఉంటాడు. మరి ఆ నాలెడ్జ్ ఎక్కడి నుంచి జనరేట్ అయింది? నా యొక్క ఆరోగ్య సమస్యని సాల్వ్ చేసే నాలెడ్జ్ మిగతా నాలెడ్జ్. నా యొక్క ఆర్థిక సమస్యని, సమాజం యొక్క ఆర్థిక సమస్యని సాల్వ్ చేసే నాలెడ్జ్ ఎకనామిక్స్ అంటాం. నీ యొక్క ఖర్చు పెట్టినటువంటి ఖర్చులు రాసుకోవడానికి ఉపయోగపడితే అకౌంట్స్ అంటాం, కామర్స్ అంటాం. This is called a holistic approach of this knowledge branches of disciplines, which always makes in the form of the education to solve human problems, and in turn it will lead to the development of the human beings. Ultimate education system the major purpose in the ప్రపంచవ్యాప్తంగా ప్రకటిస్తున్నారు. మానవాళి యొక్క అభివృద్ధి, మానవాళి యొక్క సమస్యల్ని పరిష్కరించి పరిష్కారాలు చూపిస్తూ సమాజాన్ని మానవాళికి ముందుకు నడపడమే ఏ విద్యా వ్యవస్థ యొక్క లక్ష్యమైనది అదే. ప్రతి విద్యా వ్యవస్థ యొక్క లక్ష్యం మానవుల యొక్క సౌహార్ద మనిషి యొక్క లక్ష్యం. దానికోసం రకరకాల మార్గాలు చదువుతూ ఉంటారు. ఓకే, లాస్ట్ లైన్ మీకు అర్థం కావడం కోసం చెప్తున్నాను. ఎంతమంది పాత డెస్క్టాప్ కంప్యూటర్స్ వాడుతా ఉన్నారు? ఎంతమంది ఫస్ట్ జనరేషన్ ఫోన్స్ నుంచి ఊరిగా మనం ఏంటంటే ఇలా నొక్కుంటూ తిరిగేటువంటి ఫోన్ వాడుతా ఉన్నాం? లేదు. అవి మన అవసరాలు తీర్చడానికి మాత్రం వదిలేస్తాం. కొత్త మోడల్స్ వస్తున్నాయి, కొత్తగా తీసుకున్నాం. ఎంతోమంది స్టూడెంట్స్ నిజంగా స్కూటర్ కొనడానికి రెడీగా ఉన్నారు? ఎంతోమంది స్టూడెంట్స్ నిజంగా పల్సర్ హోండా బైక్స్ కొనడానికి రెడీగా ఉన్నారంటే చాలా అన్ని అవుట్డేటెడ్. మా అవసరాలకు సరిపడవు, మా స్పీడ్ మా వేగానికి సరిపడవు. కాబట్టి కొత్తవి కావాలి. మన యొక్క జీవితం యొక్క అభివృద్ధి సాధించడానికి వస్తుంది, మన యొక్క జీవితంలో ముందు పెరగడానికి వస్తుంది. ఎప్పుడైతే ఉన్న విద్యా విధానము, ఉన్న విద్యా వ్యవస్థలు సరిపోవో దాని ప్లేస్ లో కొత్త విధానాన్ని మనం ప్రవేశపెట్టుకోవడానికి యూజ్ చేసుకోవాల్సిన పాత విషయాలు ఉన్నాయి. మన సమస్యలు మారినాయి, మన అభిరుచులు మారినాయి, మన సమాజం మారింది, మన రిలేషన్స్ మారినాయి, మన టెక్నాలజీస్ మారినాయి, మన శారీరక మానసిక అవస్థలు స్థితులు అన్ని మారిపోయి ఎప్పుడైతే ఉన్నటువంటి సిస్టమ్ స్థితులు వీటిని మనం సాల్వ్ చేయకపోతుందో మనము కొత్త విధానం వైపు మనము ముందుకు వెళ్తూ ఉంటాము. అటువంటి కొత్త విధానమే నూతన విద్యా విధానం. I think that I hope I will everybody understand the need and significance of the national education policy, which is not a simple and common word that is called the new education policy, and it's for the sake of the common human beings. Finally, the ultimate goal of the education system is not a job. It is, as it is at Swamy Vivekananda, is the manifestation of the all-round development of the personality, which will lead to the highest attainment of our world. గొప్ప లక్షణము, ఒక గొప్ప ఫీచర్. ఛాలెంజెస్ చాలా ఉంటాయి, ప్రతి ఇష్యూకి ఛాలెంజెస్ చాలా ఉంటాయి, పాలసీలో ఛాలెంజెస్ ఉంటాయి. మనిషి దాన్ని అమలు చేసే విధానం, ఆలోచించే విధానం ఒక ఛాలెంజ్ అవుతుంది. పాలసీ తయారు చేసేటప్పుడు ఛాలెంజ్ ఏమీ ఉండదు, దాన్ని అమలు చేసే వారి యొక్క మానసిక స్థితే ఛాలెంజ్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తారు. పాలసీస్ ఆర్ ఛాలెంజెస్. ఇక్కడ ఉన్న చెప్పాను చూసారా, ఈ అన్సర్టైన్ టైమ్స్ అంటారు. అనిశ్చితమైనటువంటి ప్రాపంచిక వాతావరణం, భౌతికమైనటువంటి అవసరాన్ని తీర్చే విధానంలో పాత విద్యా విధానం కాబట్టి ఈ కొత్త విద్యా విధానంలో రెండు గొప్ప లక్షణాలు ఏమున్నాయి అంటే, అంతర్గతంగా మనం డెవలప్ కావడం, బాహ్యంగా కూడా డెవలప్ కావడం. ఈ రెండింటిని సమ్మిళితం చేస్తూ భారతీయతకు సంబంధించినటువంటి జ్ఞానం, విజ్ఞానాన్ని మోడర్నిటీతో సమ్మేళనం చేస్తూ రూపొందించినటువంటి విద్యా విధానాన్ని విద్యా విధానం. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us on the importance of 21st century skills and the problems faced by the youth. So, taking the program further, my humble request to the permission of our principal madam, Professor Revati madam, one of our visually challenged student Harish. He has a lot of research aptitude. We have identified him. And since 2 years, he is writing articles, even the full papers also. Now, for this new education policy national seminar, he has contributed the full paper also. He is in BA second year. So, I request you, madam, to present a memento to student Harish. Harish, Anu, please. Many of the students from BA, I think 25 students are written. On a visually challenged student, I request Professor Revati madam, Director of SEX, and our guest of honor. Madam, please present a memento to Harish. Even from the first year, he is writing articles, papers, in his life. So he is an inspiration to so many students. arranged for the national seminar. And ma'am said we have received 127 abstracts from the country, but Harish's abstract is the first one for the seminar. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Please be seated. Now I request.
Sorry. The last time mentioned. I think that this is my third time to visit our people అందరూ ఉన్నారు కదా ఎలా పనిచేస్తున్నారు నాకు అర్థం కాదు ప్రిన్సిపల్ మేడం మాలిగా మేడం శాలరీ మేడం సార్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ సార్ ఇంకా అసలు నాయక్ సార్ గీతా సింగ్ రాధిక అందరూ 2 సంవత్సరాలు పెట్టింది నాకు ఒక సెమినార్ నుంచి 2 సెమినార్ ఎందుకంటే 2 సంవత్సరాలు పెట్టి కోల్పోయాను 18 లో కండక్ట్ చేసిన తర్వాత మళ్ళీ 2021 లో కండక్ట్ చేశాను మళ్ళీ 2023 లో డబ్బులు మా పెళ్లి ఈజీగా చేయొచ్చు ఒక విషయం పిల్లలకి స్టూడెంట్స్ బిలౌడ్ స్టూడెంట్స్ కి చెప్పదలుచుకుంది ఏంటంటే every minute of the moment of body language, style of functioning is a learning mechanism. Not in the classroom. In the function, in the education, మనకెందుకులే అనుకోకుండా ఇంతమంది పదవులకి నేను వెళ్ళి ఏదైనా స్థాయిలో నిలబోతా ఉంటే మా పిల్లలు నేర్చుకోవాలి అని చెప్పేసి తపనతో ఈ ఇయర్స్ లో కూడా గవర్నమెంట్ లో పనిచేసే చేయడం వరకు ప్రైవేట్ అయితే సీసీ కెమెరాలు చూస్తూ ఉంటారు గవర్నమెంట్ ఆ కమిట్మెంట్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా కమిట్మెంట్ లెవెల్ చేయాలి స్టూడెంట్స్ కి చెప్పాలి ఏదో చేయాలి అని చెప్పేసి కమిట్మెంట్ లెవెల్స్ దట్ రియల్లీ అప్రిషియేట్ థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్ టు యు ఆల్ that only motivates me to come to you. ఆ ఒక్క విషయమే మున్సారి సార్ అధికారం చేస్తే మన కాలేజీ కదా అన్నట్టుగా యూనివర్సిటీ నుంచి వచ్చామని కదా మన పిల్లలే కదా ఎక్కడైతే స్టూడెంట్స్ కదా కాసేపు ఇంటరాక్ట్ కావచ్చు కాసేపు షేర్ చేసుకోవచ్చు అనే ఒక ఫీలింగ్ మోటివేట్ చేస్తుంది ఇట్ ఈస్ బికాస్ ఆఫ్ the always the smiling faces of the your faculty and the government level and at the same time the students those who are always having a great respect to your teachers. This is
Now I request Dr. D.M, Organizing Secretary of the seminar, to propose formal vote of thanks. Thank you.
Today's chief guest, Honorable Professor R. Limbadri Sir, Chairman, Telangana State Council of Higher Education, Hyderabad, Telangana. Guest of honor, Professor E. Revati Ma'am, Director Center for Economic and Social Studies, which is called as Hyderabad. Keynote speaker, Dr. Sheikh Dr.D.M Sir, Department of Management Studies, Maulana Azad National University, Hyderabad. Our beloved Principal Ma'am, Dr. Gita Patnaik Ma'am, Vice Principal Ma'am, Dr. S. Radhika Ma'am, and all the dignitaries present here. A very good afternoon to all. I think it is a great honor to me to privilege propose vote of thanks for this inaugural session. On behalf of Babu Jagdevan College, Government Degree College, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to Honorable Chief Guest Professor R. Limbadri Sir for accepting our invitation, gracing today's seminar, and delivered inaugural address. Sir's presence has been a source of guidance and inspiration to us. Sir explained about how the higher education is developing in our Telangana and Hyderabad, our country. And thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking speech and provided for funding to us. And now I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our distinguished guest of honor, Professor E. Revati Ma'am, Director of SES, Hyderabad, for his inspirable and voluble speech. Thank you, ma'am, for your thought-provoking speech and knowledgeable speaker. And we are very thankful to you, ma'am. We are conveyed our thanks to our today's keynote speaker, our esteemed professor, Dr. Sheikh Amruddin sir, for his excellent presentation and making this seminar very meaningful and interesting. Thank you, sir. I would like to express our deep gratitude to our principal, Dr. B.B. Patnaik, for encouraging us and providing all resources to organizing this seminar. Thank you, ma'am. I thank our vice principal and director of this seminar, Srimati S. Radhika ma'am, and Dr. Swamy sir, Head Department of Economics, for their efforts in this organizing this seminar. Thank you, madam and sir. We are very thankful to you, sir. I express my thanks to Telangana State Council of Higher Education, Hyderabad, for sponsoring the seminar, and CCU for giving ODs on this occasion for the participants. To organize the seminar is not a easy work. It requires a lot of resources and teamwork. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated teaching and non-teaching staff in this college. I thank all teaching and non-teaching staff for their constant and coordination to organizing this seminar. I also thank all on and offline participants, and special thanks to those who came to offline places to participate in this seminar. Thank you, ma'am. I express my gratitude to press and media representatives for convening their seminar, covering the seminar also. Our sincere thanks to NSS and NCC volunteers and also students for active participation of this seminar. Thank you, Monica, and Rita. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
From the bottom of our hearts, we thank our esteemed Professor Revati madam. Thank you, madam, for sparing your valuable time and for preparing a constant note for the past 1 week or so. Thank you very much, ma'am. We are grateful to you for accepting our invitation. Thank you. Yeah, please, I request all the participants to join us in the lunch.